some more green screen work. I can share some of my tips and tricks and some other things that I've tried to help blend a green screen shot into a standard shot. So here I have, we're in the middle of our shootout in Perdition, which is really close to being done. So I'm looking forward to having this finished and getting it out. But here we're about to get into the shootout, and I had to go back and call my actor back, Jason C. Campbell, and we reimagined his part of the shootout because I wasn't able to get the 3D work done to kind of like have the desired effect on the death I wanted for him. So here our main characters kind of pulled on someone, and then here's the quick shot of it. We have this shot right here where, and I'll turn the volume down on this, but you can see Jason's drawing on our protagonist. And you can see there's a lot of motion blur right here, right in the gun. And I'm gonna bring this a little bigger so you can see it. But if you look at the amount of motion blur we have here, just in the camera work on this, and his arms, look at that right there, right up in here. And you get some green spillage over those edges. And so I'm going to show you how I accomplish this. A lot of times when I'm doing this work, I don't always remember exactly what I did at the time I did it, but we're gonna truck through this, barring someone crashing through my ceiling here. But as you can see, this is a good example of, we have an actor that was definitely up against a green screen, and he is moving quick, and we're filming at 24 frames per second, so we're going to get a lot of motion blur out of this. So hopefully this helps. So take a look at this. Here's my actor, Jason. As you can see, he's kind of, we had some clouds roll over us. We took the pop-up green screen. Those pop-up green screens are awesome. We took it outside in the backyard, and it was just me, camera. I had my makeup artist here, Jason, and so once my makeup artist was done, she was standing a few feet behind him so that she could hold the green screen, and we just used the natural light of outside to help give us a nice even chroma key background, so it's something we can work with. And so he's got this thing where he's kind of looking, and then I told him to just kind of kick back, look around, maybe I can find some use out of some of this. But really what I care about is that right here, right when he's gonna draw. So it's like boom, oh crap. And the nice part is, what makes this shot easier than other shots is the camera is sitting on a tripod, so I didn't have to worry about really tracking the motion of the background. And I did have a slate shot of what was behind him from when we filmed this stuff on set. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna pull from, say, here, and we're just gonna go there. Get out of the way. Boom. Right about there. Why not? Okay. And so I'm gonna pull this down into a new comp, and this should be good. Right about there. I don't know what our runtime is on that. It's not too bad. And I'm gonna rename this to source. I always do this. I'll call it source. And then I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to rename this to my matte. And then once I create my matte, I'm going to duplicate that a couple times, and I'm going to do a light wrap. Now when keying, when I pull over, I use Keylight 1.2, and there's other software out there that does a really good job, but it costs money. I get Keylight with my subscription to to After Effects, so it's just, this works out really well for me. That being said, once we have Keylight on our matte, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start working that. So we'll go ahead and go down to our screen matte after we key it, but so select our green, nice even color there. I'm gonna turn this off. Now what's going on here? Oh, that's source, not final. So when I go to the final, what happens here is I got a decent key out of it, but it also pulled some of the green. Then some of that green is probably spillage from the light bouncing off the key, off the green screen, and it's kind of bouncing on him. So if I turn this off, you're going to see some of the lighting in his face, kind of in his eyes, You're losing some of the blue, the greens that are in his eyes. His eyes are blue. So you definitely want to create a matte out of this. You don't want to, what is going on? Oh, I gotta turn it on. So when you see this, it's not bad. It's not a bad shot, but we can make some minor adjustments. Normally, I won't mess with anything outside of going down here into the screen mats, because this is what I'm going to play with. And I'll bring my blacks up to lock them in, and then I'm going to bring my whites down to kind of make sure I don't have anything kind of see-through. And then I'll roll them through the whole shot, make sure. And you see how we got that motion blur there? We're going to clean that up too. See how we got this? So I'm gonna go ahead and bring my whites down a little farther. Make sure that we don't have anything showing through. That's not bad. So now that I've got that, if I wanted to, I could turn this back on, turn that off, and then I could just track matte, and we could do like there's a Luma matte. There you go. And you scroll in here, and you're gonna have this green edging around the edge, and that's just another thing we're gonna fix. But we do have the colors back in the eyes, which is important. And so we're going to do a couple other things, and then we're going to apply a light wrap once we get to the final look. So I've seen this on other videos too. So if I pull in another, say another, I think I can do it this way. I think I can pull this in, and we can kind of look at that. I haven't really done this before. You could also roll back some of this stuff, but we're going to play with it a little bit. Let's see. All right, let's see what that looks like when I go to the mat. That's what I meant to do. All right, let's not do that. Turn that off. I don't think that's going to work the way I thought it was going to work. That's okay. So what I can do is I can go up here and I can roll this back. And so I can shrink this, and it's going to pull it back into the brim of the hat. But what you really want is you want to allow some of this to come through. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a hard edge, and you don't want the hard edges. So you can you can also, if you think, you can use a softening, and that's just basically going to give you, it's going to kind of do the same thing as the light wrap does, where it allows some of the edge to bleed through, but we still have this green. And so what I would do is I would come over here and key light spill suppression. I think that's the one I want. I believe that's the one I want. And then is this, no, it's key cleaner. Man, sucks because I get rusty on this stuff and I forget what's going on here. Okay, let's turn that off. Got rid of that. Oh, where's my Luma color? There's my King green. It's really about that beard, and this is when, so that rollback, that's when it gets not the rollback but the shrink. If I bring this back out and I let this kind of go back to, say, 0, and I turn off the softness, so I go back to 0 with that, we get that hard edge. What I can do is we can increase our gain. And so pull this back just a little bit. I got that green edge. So then what I would normally do is, I would duplicate this, and I would duplicate it twice, and then I would pre-comp this, and I would call it my light wrap. So then I open up my light wrap, Turn these on. Now I have the same matte on both of them. Okay. And what I can do here is I can invert one of them. So if I go to my effects and I go, let's see, where's it at? I do really good, and then I go to film this stuff, and then I struggle. So matte, transform, where's it at? I know you're here. Key light, reset, matte, screen matte. Where's my, oh, I know what I'm doing wrong. It's over here. Oh well. If you don't see me screw up, I guess it doesn't really do any good. Okay, so this one, if I close that, that's now inverted. And then what I would do is I need to put a black solid behind it. Okay. Whoops. Put the black solid behind it, and then have it do a luma matte, and now I've got my key light wrap. Okay, so it's wrapping around my subject, and if you scroll in, you're going to see that it's not overly impressive. So then what I would do is I would so luma, so invert, no, yeah, it's just that. And make sure that you're not putting a bunch of extra stuff inside your matte, like pre-blur and things like that. So like here, that shrink grow is at -1, but it's at -1 over here as well. So it should be fine, and it's going to match the actual footage. So this should be good. And then the other thing I would put is a Gaussian blur on this bottom one as well. So I'm going to put this down on this guy right here, and we'll go to 10, and we'll see. See, now it's tapering in, but what it does is around this edge, it's going to allow that to kind of like bleed through. But now we have to add our background before, oops, wrong one. Before I can continue, I have to put my background in the shot. So I'm going to turn this off. This is my light wrap. Then I'm going to grab my background shot, which, so I'm trying to remember which one is the background shot. I think this is it. So let's take a look at this. And it looks like, you know, from right about here, I'm going to pull from there, and then, oh, it's not that long. So let's pull from there to here, and then we're going to pull it down in. So I'll stick that back in there. Now this is a much larger shot, and I don't need it to be that big. And you got to watch out for this area up at the top. But so I'm going to pull it up here in the corner, and then I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to put this under the light wrap. And the point of doing that is then when I do my luma track and I scroll in, now we're starting to get that wrap around. And what that's going to let me do is I'm going to allow the foreground to, the background, I'm kind of like allowing the background to taper in over the foreground. So a little bit of work here still to be done, but that's the general gist of it. So this green right here, let's see where I can pull this around and pull it in, get it as tight as I can. There we go. I'll pull it right in there. Select OK. Let's take a look at that. And then we will let's go -0.2, and then on the light wrap we will kind of match that as well. -0.2. So I'm just making sure it all syncs up. Pull this over here. Oh, wrong one. There we go. So we're still working on it. The gist of it is he's going to turn, It's going to draw, but we got a lot of motion blur in here. See that? Lots of motion. So let's take a look at that full speed.
Percy, get
Let's see
out
what
the way!
happens.
Percy, get out! Out the way!
Okay, so we still got the green edge. We're gonna clean that up still, and we need to deal with this right there. That edge is got way too much green in it. There's a couple ways that I can get rid of that. I can soften up the edge. I can shrink it. I can do an inside and outside. I can tell it what I want to do outside of the mask. So I can soften this up if I want to. If I were to do something crazy, I don't even know what this does. If I click invert, it doesn't seem to do much. But that's on the mat. Okay, so outside the mask, what I can do is I can kind of soften this up. I can also do a replace method. So I still have some green here, so let's see if we get any of that. And this is going to be technically inside my mask. Alright, replace another color. No, that didn't do it. Usually what it do is you get right there. And another thing we can do is I could put, I can do a secondary color correction. And so I could take what's left out of this. And so I can do like, say I can take, my lumetri, and I can put this on my source, and I come down here to my key where I've got this thing, and I'm going to pull this over here. So we can get right in here and play with it some more, and then I can refine that on sliders by desaturating it. And bring the saturation down to nothing. Let's see what that does. Doo-doo-doo. Grab green, and we can take a look at what it's coming up with the green. Yeah. No, I don't like that. Well, let's see. What's sad is I do these things and I get them, and then I completely forget all the work I went through to get it to where I want it to be. Let's see. I think it's I get nervous because I'm filming it. Filming myself trying to do this work. Interesting. Not pre-blur. You don't want that. Go back to none, none. Let's go back to none. Let's get back to 0. How did I do this? I watched a video on how to take care of this. It's so bad. This is like the worst YouTube video ever. There we go. Key. Spill suppression. Spill. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Jeez. Oh my gosh. So then I'm wondering if I take this guy and I put him on my mat and I key him that way. And I will pull this guy down. Let's pull this. Maybe we'll put it here instead. There it is. Took me that long to remember. Okay, so with that, then we can look at, yeah, that cleaned it up nice. But it does give me kind of hard edges. And there's still, you know, there's still some green hue. So I'll probably get it right about there. And honestly, this is when I could come in with Lumetri and correct the what's gotten onto his hand right there. And then what I can do is I can go into my secondary level correction. I can key this kind of that color. And then I can see where it shows up in here. It's not giving me any. And then we can pull this down. And then we go to our correction. Now we've got our kind of our mask. Let's see how this looks once the gun gets out here. It's actually not bad. Yeah, that suppression worked really well. And then what we'll do is now if you want to know where, if you look at the whole point of the light wrap, you see that edge right there? That's caused by the light wrap. You know, if I turn this off, there's your edge. Turn it on, off, on. And you could dial that back. I mean, and it's all you have to do to dial that back is, I had this set to 10 on my Gaussian blur. I could drop that probably back to 5. It doesn't have to be that high, and then go back in here. And it's going to give me a little bit more of a tapered edge. And all it's doing is by putting the background on top of the foreground and using this light wrap here, only where there's gray am I allowing it to bleed through. And so it works out really well. You can do some things that are going to help kind of control that. And another thing that I do that I like to do is take my background, right? I'm going to take my background, I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to put it on top of the foreground, and then I'm going to add a Gaussian blur, and then we'll throw that on there. Then I'm going to crank this up to like 400 or 400. Completely blur this up. We're going to repeat the edges so that you know, it covers the whole area. And then what this does is it takes the colors that are in the background and applies them to the foreground. And then I'm going to take this opacity and I'm just going to dial it down. And what that's going to do is, between that and then softening the edges, it's going to allow me to when it gets back into, it goes back over here into Premiere, by having that kind of that color from the background kind of act as a palette by which I'm applying it to the foreground on top of my subject. It helps blend them into the background some, and so that works out really well too. So we have, at this point, we've got just about everything almost right where I want it. But one of the things I concerned about is you see how like up on the brim of his hat, it's still got kind of a harsh line to it. And one of the things you can do is because of the differential and blur in the background and the depth of field in the background, and I have him really he's completely in focus. Another thing I can do is I can add an adjustment layer, apply a Gaussian blur to the adjustment layer. I'm going to increase that, say like to 10, and then I'm going to kind of make him a little bit out of focus. And what that's going to do is, and then I'll do an elliptic, and then I want to see where his face ends up because I don't want him to be completely out of focus, but I do want to make sure that I have his face in focus. Not so worried about his hat, you know, but just this kind of, I guess you could say this area right here. And this is when, if you need to track something, you could track it. In this particular shot, I don't think I need to really track it all that much. Looks like it's holding pretty good. Well, let's see. I put it over here, and I go like that, like that. I probably do need to track that, and then what I could do is feather it, and we're going to feather it some to get it in there. And so here I'm going to go ahead and track my positions and let it kind of match my path. And so I'm going to have it start out, you know, here, and then as he's going to move, and this is okay because his eyes are really all I care about, but I'm going to go ahead and move it over here, and then when he starts to really reset, I'm going to bring it down to here. I'm going to bring it over here because I'm not worried about the guns. I'm just worried about his eyes staying focused. There we go. Okay, we'll bring it up here a little bit. Then I'm going to take all of these, and I'm going to do easy in, easy out. So right click. So I'm going to do my key assist, and I'm going to do my easy, easy in. And that should track fairly, not too bad. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. The idea is, you know, he's moving, so if he flows in and out of focus just a hair, it's not going to hurt it. And that's what what ends up happening is I'm blending in the rest of his outfit with the background. And I'm kind of tapering it in.
Get out the way! Percy, get out the way! Percy, get out the way! Percy, get out the way!
Not bad. I'll take that. Now, another thing you can do is if you're concerned, like here, I don't have a lot of movement in the background, and if I need a little subtle shift in the background for the trees and stuff, what you can do here is I've actually gone in and here's my background, so let's rename that to background. Not back group. So I can take my background, and then I can add a new solid. Right, I'm gonna pull this down here, stick it there. Then I'm gonna put fractal noise on this. I'm just gonna apply this, and the only place I really want to see this is going to be like a little spot on the trees. So I'm going to actually kind of like probably over here because they're farther away. So if I go like, you know, and all I'm doing is I'm going to create some movement here. You know, with the with the fractal noise, I'm going to duplicate my background, and then I'm going to adjust the. I'm kind of gonna put an expression on this because I just want to get a little bit of motion. And so what I could do is I can go into my fractal noise, and then I can set my basic to, we'll just say turbulent basic. No, I don't like that one. How about dynamic? Yeah, that's better. Okay. And then I will go ahead and check my evolution. And from this point here, I'm going to start, my evolution is going to start at 0. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then all the way over to here, I'm going to set this to probably about a 2. Let's see how it evolves. And you know, it's not it's a little bit much probably, but we're gonna go ahead. We'll go back to like a let's roll that back a little bit. And so all I'm trying to do is create a little bit of motion in the background on the tree leaves, not too much. Just enough for the to give the illusion that there's something going on in the background. So if you duplicate our background, apply lumetri or even levels, probably levels would be better. We'll put levels on this second one, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that background right like that, and then I'm going to luma key it to our black fractal noise. So if I do that, then what happens is it's a little bit of motion in the trees back there, like a little bit of a breeze. It doesn't have to be a lot, and if you want, you could even go as far as we could add another spot like right in here. Okay, probably right here, just where those leaves would be moving. And this is like probably massive overkill, but just for the kicks and grins, I'm doing it. And we'll increase our feather on these two, kind of feather them out a little bit, and then we get a little bit of motion.
Mercy, get out the way!
Let's see. Yes, how it looks like there's leaves are kind of moving a little bit in the background, but it's not so much that it's a complete distraction.
Mercy, get out the way! Mercy, get out the way! Mercy,
That way,
get out the way!
it helps make it the background not feel so static.
Mercy, get out the way! Mercy, get out the way!
See, it looks like the leaves are moving.
Get out the way!
And that's just some fractal noise
Get out the way!
used as a mat,
Mercy, get out the way!
a luma mat against
Get out the
a
way!
copy of the background
Out the way!
where you've taken and you've added levels and then you've adjusted the contrast a little bit so that it stands out a little bit more. That fractal noise is the evolution of it's moving around in that, so they give you a little bit more movement in the background, which is nice. All right, so that's really all you have to do to kind of get it to that point. Your next step is if I had this linked in Premiere, this particular copy of it, then I would export that out into Premiere and make sure that the color grade matched. Another thing you can do is you can pre-comp this whole thing just for kicks and grins. You could pre-comp the whole thing. Select OK, and we're going to call this demo. Okay, so I've got my demo pre-comped, and then I'm going to go ahead and pull Lumetri in. And once again, I don't want to deviate too much from, so I'll play with the basic controls just a little bit. I will bring the temperature down just a hair, because in the final shot there's going to be rain and it's going to be slightly drizzling, and it's important that that kind of shows up in the final shot and has its natural. So I would probably desaturate him just a little bit. And so realistically, where you put this is you would put this in two places. You would put it on the original source, and then you would put it on the actually just put it on the original source. So let's move it. Let's go back. We'll go inside the demo, and then we're going to go to our original source. As soon as I get back, there's our source. And so we're going to go here, and then we're going to apply this lumetri. And all I'm trying to do is I'm going to try and bring his exposure down just a little bit, so he doesn't stand out so much against his background. Not a lot. I could bring up the contrast, or I could take it down to help blend him into the shot. And it looks like going down just a little bit is really kind of helping him get blended into the shot. I'd bring the whites down a little bit, and then I would just kind of, I don't want it to be overly saturated. I don't want it to be too rich. It's actually not bad. It's not bad at all. So there would be my final shot that I would send back to the filmmaker, and say, okay, here we go. He's drawn. I don't have any green screen kind of seeping through the edges. The light wrap's kind of working pretty well. And worst case, I could probably go in here and crank that thing back up, say go back to 10, and then come on back to my demo, and that's what he looks like. So I hope you found that video useful. If you did, keep watching. We'll do more of these. I'm still kind of getting used to the OBS live streaming for recording. It makes it a little bit easier to do this and interact with you guys directly. When the final shot comes out on the scene, what's nice is it looks like this. So, and once you apply you've got your color correction, your color look, and everything's there. He looks like he's standing there, as it's not a lot going on, and he's blended in well with the shot, so nobody knows that he was green screened. All right, everybody, I hope you liked that video, and if you did, please smash that subscribe button. Show us some love. You can leave comments below if you know a better way to key this out. I'm all ears. Definitely interested in hearing your thoughts. I see a lot of indie filmmakers